Let's start a podcast about our mental health for no good reason why. Let's call it Mind Cake.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another slice of Mind Cake
Mind Cake.
with him,
Lee Crompton, and him.
Paul Beeson.
Yeah.
First time, baby.
Yeah.
And that's what you try to put me off with your stupid faces
No,
as well.
I tried. We've got used to my stupid faces now. It's just my face. It's not stupid. Just my face.
Just your face.
Mm.
Well, welcome, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Lang may your lum week and all that.
I beg your pardon?
Lee,
Yes.
how are you doing?
I'm all right. I normally come on. I've listened to back a few episodes now, and I always go, "Yeah, I'm doing great, Paul." And I would say I'm all right. I'm okay. And I don't know why I'm just okay, because I've got a lot to look forward to this year and certain things planned or whatever. But I think it's just a bit January, back to work, weather's crap, just a bit meh, really.
Yeah, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true. But it's okay to not be okay. Do you know what I mean? Even though you've got a lot to look forward to, these ups and downs are going to happen.
I think, to be fair, so what happens when I get this is a deeper start than I thought I was going into. What happens when I get particularly anxious? I have this complete disassociation, which I've had for a while. Was a while since I was a kid, and it was only probably in my 20s when I went to see a doctor about it, and they went, "Oh yeah, you're talking about derealization or depersonalization, which is where you either see." Do you know about this?
No.
All right, you were nodding.
I'm
You were
nodding
nodding.
along.
All right, okay.
Because I'm interested in what you're
no,
saying.
That's fine. No, that's fine. I think you were going, "Oh yeah, that depersonal." Yeah. So depersonalization is where you see everything around you as real, but you don't see yourself as real. And derealization is where you see yourself as real, but you don't see your surroundings as real. And then the best way I can describe it is it's almost like being in a dream. You know, when you're in a dream and you wake up and you go, "Well, that was worryingly real."
Yeah,
it's like that. You're kind of in this mind fog. You're kind of in this fog where it's almost like watching yourself. It's very difficult to explain watching yourself on telly. So anyway, when I get particularly anxious, I get very disconnected, and it's almost I've heard of people who get it like in a traumatic situation. So if they're attending a car accident, in that moment where they just have to do what they need to do, it's almost like an out of body experience. Making me sound like a right weirdo. It's almost like this out of body experience where you kind of go on automatic pilot and you just do what you need to do in that moment. It's like that, but like all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. So I'd have to say the reason I'm saying that is because obviously I'm on the meds. I would say that maybe it hasn't been as bad, because I always get similar at this time of year. I'm not good at this time of year. And possibly with the meds, it's a bit better than normal. But sorry, this is we normally do this is supposed to be an uplifting kind of.
Yeah.
I brought the mood down.
Okay.
We're only about 2 minutes in.
No, but I think it's okay. And I think it's good to just be honest about how you're feeling rather than just saying to everybody, "Oh yeah, brilliant.
Feeling great.
Life for Riley, this is fab." But it's okay if it's a bit of a downbeat start, because our
What are you doing? Pirate impressions?
All right.
You're going to cheer me up with a pirate impression.
No,
another one.
What's a pirate's favorite letter, Lee? Aye, but they're also fond of the sea.
Where's he from? Brooklyn?
Pirate land.
Right. He's also fond of the sea.
I didn't say it like that. We're going to come back to your accents later on, actually.
Are we?
Made a little note.
Are you going to do your Camp Crown one again? Come on, everybody. Sit down.
No.
See, taking the mickey out of you has cheered me right up.
That ship has sailed. That pirate ship has sailed. So good. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, anyway. Thanks, Paul. You've cheered me right up.
However, what I was going to say was, even though it's a bit of a downbeat start, our guest this week, the chat that we have, is actually quite uplifting. So it's a nice balance.
Yes,
anyway.
It is. I listened to it earlier and it is very uplifting.
Yes. So shall we just get into that? And then
let's get into it. I haven't asked how you are, but let's presume you're fine. And
we'll get to
that later. Okay, let's do that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm privileged and pleased to have a dear old friend of mine on the podcast today, Adrienne Zitt. Hello.
Yay! Hello, Paul. Lovely to see you.
Oh, lovely to see you. It has been far too long. I can't even remember the last time we saw each other. Years.
I think it was when the film house was still open and we met randomly in the cafe before COVID times.
Oh, yeah, it's a while ago,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
But it's lovely to see your little face on my screen here. Um,
Likewise.
now, Adrienne, you are a mindfulness practitioner.
Yes,
Is that right? Yes.
yes.
Now, could you just tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up becoming a mindfulness practitioner?
Yeah, certainly. So to start at the beginning, I think
Mhm.
when I was little, I was very highly sensitive, very highly creative, very highly emotional child. And that quite naturally led me into acting for a long time, into the acting profession, which is where I met you, Paul.
That's right. Yeah.
And there was a lot of drama in my life, not just on stage, but off stage as well. It felt like my emotions were always very high volume. I told myself a lot of stories that I would get lost into about what people thought of me, what situations in my life meant, and it led to a lot of mental health chaos at times. So, in parallel to exploring creativity and the creative industries, I also was really interested in spirituality and in healing modalities and kind of just self understanding. I wanted to kind of understand more about how, what emotions mean for certain people for their mental health and how to manage them. And that led me to go on retreats, Buddhist retreats, meditation retreats, and eventually I stumbled onto mindfulness practice, which I guess it has its roots in Buddhist philosophy, but it's been brought to the secular world recently in the past few decades. So it's now you can study it in a very structured way, and it's a practice that I've found completely transformative for the management of my own mental health. And when I've introduced it to other people, they also find it very, very useful to have as a tool to manage mental health issues or even just basic stress management sometimes. So it's a practice that's very important to my life now, really. Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
And was it sort of during like your retreats and things like that, and that you said you sort of stumbled across it? How did you actually train and where did you train?
So I think the first time I formally trained was at this Buddhist retreat center in Scotland that I love, which is quite small scale. It's called Danakosha. It's in the Trossachs by a beautiful loch. It's a very magical place. And there was a week, I was used to doing meditation retreats and everything, but there was a week specifically on mindfulness practice. And so we were introduced to kind of basic concepts around mindfulness. And then we had the ample opportunity during the week to really put it to practice. So meditations, walks in nature, talks with people. We really explored what it meant. And I found it so, I don't know, it was a thing that I felt was very natural, very simple practice. Even if it's not easy, it was very simple. And I thought this actually makes so much sense, and I think it'll be very useful for me. So that's when I started exploring it a bit deeper, and eventually I became accredited. I did a teacher training, and I became accredited in mindfulness teaching, which I now do much more informally than formally. But I still practice it for myself, and occasionally I bring it to other people if they're interested.
Oh, fab. I suppose you have to practice what you preach, I guess. So you need to be fully involved and immersed in it. Brilliant. I probably should have asked you this before. I think it's okay. What does mindfulness actually mean? Because it's such a wide term, and it probably means a lot of different things to different people. So from your perspective, what is mindfulness?
Mindfulness, first of all, I would say that mindfulness is probably a bit of a misnomer. It's not, in English, the term mindfulness, feels a bit reductive to only one aspect of what mindfulness practice actually is. The accepted definition, if you will, is by a man called John Kabat-Zinn, who is kind of credited as the father of secular mindfulness practice. And his definition is pretty good. It says that it's paying attention in a particular way on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. So it's very much the art and practice of being present with your experience in a very warm, compassionate, non-judgmental way, which sounds, simple enough. And it's for a lot of us, it's very hard to practice because we're very often very critical of ourselves. So cultivating an atmosphere of kindness internally is quite a big undertaking for a lot of us.
Oh, for sure.
And we're also very often, we live in a culture where it's very easy to be distracted by so much stimulation, so much of what other people are doing with their lives, so much of what we should be doing, that kind of thing. So to practice being very focused on what's happening right here, right now, without getting too drawn into the stories in our heads, that's also very hard for a lot of us. So that's kind of the two aspects of mindfulness practice for me.
Excellent. It is very difficult to do that because I know, speaking from certainly from my personal perspective, it's very easy to focus on everything apart from what's happening in the present. You worry about the future or you dwell on the past rather than focusing kind of on the here and now. And if you can do that, like you said, having a sort of a positive mindset about what's going on, your world is crumbling around you and it's on fire, and to try and be present in the moment, but deal with that is a very difficult thing.
It is very difficult. Although I would say that if your house is on fire, you should probably,
run.
Yeah.
The metaphorical
Maybe meditate later.
Yes.
Get out first.
Oh, wow. In order to be present and sort of aware and of that, what sort of techniques would you, I suppose, recommend, or what would you teach to people to be able to do that, or to try to do that?
Probably three different things. There's one formal aspect to really kind of strengthen those muscles of self-compassion and of attention, which is meditation, formal meditation. You would start, maybe if I was teaching you, we'd start with like 10 minutes of sitting. Very basic meditations are like awareness of the breath and awareness of the body, very simple, which is all about just bringing your attention back over and over and over again to, for example, the sensations of the breath in your body for 10 minutes. Your mind wanders, you bring it back. You bring it back kindly without judging yourself. Your mind wanders again, you bring it back. So you're always in your body and you bring back your attention. That's the practice. That's the basic practice. And you could do that for years and years and years, really. Portable, you can do it for a long time. So that would be the formal aspect. Mindfulness can also be brought in any, in your daily life. It's just about reminding yourself to bring yourself back to what you're doing in the present moment. So making a cup of tea, really like listening to the kettle boil, taking a moment to feel the warmth of the cup in your hands, that sort of thing. You can bring it to eating, taking time to really savor what's in your mouth, for example. In your daily life, it could be simply awareness of your senses, bringing back that awareness to your senses. A walk in nature, for example, that's a perfect time to bring a bit of mindfulness in your experience, like taking in the sounds and the smells and, what you can see. So that's a good way to bring it into your daily life. And then there's kind of more the theory, I suppose. So some concepts that can help to anchor the practice in some understanding about what we're doing. Cultivating things like responding to life rather than reacting to it. That's a central concept of mindfulness. Or bringing curiosity to your experience rather than judgment. So you might explore different concepts like that in discussion, and then you might see what it's like when you meditate or in your daily life. You kind of suddenly have an awareness of, I'm being very judgmental of myself. What if I could be curious about my experience rather than decide that it's not valid or I shouldn't be having it? Probably, those three aspects, formal, informal, and bringing in a bit of theory would be the way I would go about teaching it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's really interesting. because I've been diagnosed with depression in the past and went to my GP about it. And I guess in a similar way, she was saying, get outside, go for a walk, go for a run. Exercise is good for you. And it was coming at it from a different angle, I suppose. It wasn't really focusing on the sort of being present as such, but it's a similar technique, I guess, isn't it? Sort of get out there and experience the world. And
yeah.
kind of,
I mean, movement is a great way of bringing awareness to your body, because when you're exercising, you kind of have to pay attention to what you're doing. You have to be kind of in the moment if you don't want to injure yourself, basically.
Oh, absolutely,
and just the
yeah.
act of being out in nature, connecting with the world and all that does to you is amazing. It does what you're saying just reminds me that I think it's important for people to know, like, mindfulness is only one tool in the toolbox. It's not a panacea for everything. Just because you practice mindfulness doesn't mean that suddenly, exercise is not important, or movement, or community, or, like just having a nice meal with people. It's just one tool to use for your mental health. And there are mindfulness-based interventions that are specific for depression, and some that are specific for anxiety, and some for addiction. So depending on what you're experiencing is, you might need to research different interventions that are very specific to that particular condition.
That's interesting that you bring that up, because I'm going to ask you about this as well, actually. So depending on what someone is going through, mentally or physically, I suppose, there are different ways to approach and kind of alleviate those things. So could you talk us through some of the differences? For example, depression, anxiety, addiction. What are the different approaches that you would have for people suffering from different things?
I can't really speak to the detail of that, because I've not been accredited in, for example, the mindfulness-based, I can't remember what it's called, mindfulness-based depression intervention, like that. There is a name for it. My training was very much in stress, mindfulness for stress management, and mindfulness for pain management. So all I know really is that, for example, someone in the depth of a depressive episode, a kind of regular 8-week mindfulness course might not be recommended. It might not be, because it might exacerbate some of the aspects of, like, you might become more aware of what's going on in your mind, and it might be overwhelming. So there are specific interventions that would take into account the symptoms of depression. I can't actually speak to that specific one, because I've not done the training myself, and I don't know what the differences would be. But mindfulness practice has a tendency, at first you might think, oh, this is great, it's very relaxing, it's, oh, finally, I'm letting my shoulders down, the tension's kind of draining. And then, whatever you've been carrying in your mind, and the way you talk to yourself, and everything is becoming much clearer. So you have to be, in my view, you have to be in a place where you're resourced enough that whatever might be coming up to the surface, mental habits you didn't know you had, which might be a little bit surprising or overwhelming at first, you need to be resourced enough that you'll be able to kind of manage it. It can highlight some tricky stuff, and then you need to be able to manage that.
So I guess that's the other part of it, is when you are getting to a stage where you are starting to relax and be aware of what's happening to you in the moment. Sometimes the answer isn't a particularly nice one, I guess. Like, you can then sort of, that makes you aware of what the problem is, which is always a good thing, or the root of the problem. But yeah, it can then start to surface, and you have a release then, don't you? And then you have to deal with the aftermath of that.
Yeah. So it can, there's moments where, I mean, for a lot of people, it's the simple realization of how much, for example, they talk negatively to themselves. It can be a shock to some people, suddenly realizing, oh my God, I am horrible to myself daily. This is happening in the background. I was not even aware of it. So I think that's why doing it in a community, in a group setting, on a retreat with people, with experienced leaders who can kind of talk you through that and support you through that, is really important. Because it can, for some people, some things might start to bubble up that they had no idea were there, and that can be a bit challenging to face. So
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. And it's funny, this thing keeps recurring in the few podcast episodes that we've done so far. And it's something that my cousin from Australia told me when he was visiting, but he was talking about bullshit beliefs.
Oh yeah.
And it's that thing that you're saying about talking negatively to yourself or imagining these scenarios that aren't actually happening, but you're like, oh, but if I do that, then that's going to happen. And then so-and-so's not going to like me or whatever it is. It's a hard cycle to get out of, the little voice in your head that's being negative to you. And,
Yes.
and the funny thing is, like, you would never dream of being that negative to another person. But
Exactly.
quite happy to do it to yourself a lot of the time. It's a very odd thing.
It's very strange. I had to do an exercise once when we had to write down, like, let's say 5 awful things that we would say to ourselves, daily, something, and then turn to the person next to us and actually pick the worst one and say that to their face, to the person sitting next to us. It was awful. It was just the realization of what we were actually saying to ourselves was just, why do we do this? This is just so. Thankfully, there is a special kind of a specific meditation in mindfulness practice, which is the self-compassion and the loving kindness, the Buddhist term practice, which is very much the practice of that muscle of sending compassion to yourself, of being kind to yourself. So that's the kind of, once you realize, okay, this is how terrible I am to myself a lot of the time, there are ways, thank God, to strengthen that muscle of self-kindness, self-compassion. And I have to say, for me, that's been one of the aspects that has been the most transformative of practicing mindfulness. It has changed my internal dialogue completely. It doesn't mean that there's not the inner critic that pipes up. There's certain situations where it gets particularly active, but I'm much more able to spot it when it's happening and to go, okay, that voice is usually there for a reason of like you're trying to protect us from something, for example. And I can just go, okay, I know you're there. They're there, you're fine, and then just kind of change the dialogue. That's transformative in itself.
It's being able to recognize that when it happens as well, isn't it? It's almost like a learned behavior is listening to that voice, and you have to unlearn it to recognize it, to stop it.
Exactly. It's kind of you kind of take a step back, you practice, you start to observe what goes on in your mind. You start to observe like, oh, okay, I'm catastrophizing now. Okay, I'm judging myself or this other person. It allows you to get into curiosity rather than judgment. And you can go, I see what's happening.
Yeah.
That inner critic's having a field day right now. Okay. That's fine. It's doing its thing. It's all right. And I can just come back to just sending myself good vibes, kindness, compassion.
The original self-care.
Exactly.
Yeah. Before self-care was, spa days and things like that.
Yeah.
It's actually taking care of your proper self.
Exactly. There can be the surface self-care, which, there's a place for. It's fine. Go get.
Massively important. Don't get me wrong. I love a good spa day.
But yeah, I'd love a spa day. A mind cake spa day. That would be great.
That's happening. That's going to happen in the new year. You mentioned earlier you're not practicing so much anymore. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I do very informal sessions. I'll lead meditations at my day job at the moment. For example, if people are interested, I'll lead a little 10-minute, 20-minute session once a week. I can certainly in my life with my friends, with people who are struggling with something, I might bring in some of my knowledge of mindfulness to help out, really. And of course, I practice it for myself a lot. But I'm studying health coaching, health and wellness and well-being coaching. So my plan is to integrate some of my mindfulness practice into that once I get qualified, so that I can blend the two, have a nice well-being cocktail to offer.
That'd be amazing. And once you're fully qualified, we'll get you back on and you can tell us all the new stuff that you've learned as well. Can be
Absolutely.
a recurring guest. We'll get you on
A
every so
man
often.
cake regular. I'd love that.
Speaking of cake, do you have any
Yes,
cake?
I do. I do. I'm sampling for you today the red velvet cake from Sainsbury's,
Oh, now,
which a lovely friend brought me yesterday. So it was
oh,
very good
for,
timing.
fortuitous. Now, our
Fortuitous.
listeners won't be able to see this, but it does look fantastic. It looks
And
amazing.
it has layers. It has,
Yeah.
it's a yeah.
It's
Kind
great.
of a
Look how thick.
metaphorical cake
Yeah,
as
that
well as
icing
a
is really
literal cake.
thick.
Very
I'm
thick icing. Yes.
I'm jealous because I have a strawberry bake
Yeah.
eaten half of.
I mean, it's looking okay. Yeah.
It's a bit anemic.
It, it's
I'll
not
just,
maybe not quite as luxurious looking as this red velvet.
it's not. It's not
Yeah.
at all. So for those of you out there who can't see my rubbish little cake, it's a rich shortcake pastry tart with a layer of strawberry filling topped with a moist cake. It is none of those things.
It looks a bit like a thin scone with a layer
Yeah,
a thin layer of jam.
the flavor has certainly gone from it anyway. Mm.
I'll have a taste of this
Yeah.
red velvet just
Yeah,
for
have a little
your
taste.
enjoyment.
Tell us what it's like.
It's very sweet and icing full.
Icing-y.
Or it's frosting-y or icing-y. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Mm.
I'm more a kind of home bake, person myself. So anything that's kind of bought, it's always something, I don't know, it's
Yeah.
like a bit too sweet or a bit too,
It's just never quite as nice as a home-baked cake, is it?
not
Which is
quite as nice.
It's why me and Lee need to get that PO box sorted out so we can get people actually sending cakes to us.
Absolutely. I'm there. I love baking. That is one of my kind of healthcare, self-care activity. Love.
Yeah, we'll
that.
definitely need to have you back and then do the next
Yes.
one in person so you can bring us some home-baked goodies.
Fabulous.
So that was a quick cake break. Back
Yes.
to the mental health stuff. So do you sort of meditate daily to try and maintain a sort of a good balance of mental health? Is it something that you try to stick to?
I try to stick to it. Yeah, I don't always manage daily.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be very self-critical about that, and I'm not anymore. Because sometimes life happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets really busy. Whatever, the alarm doesn't go off. You oversleep.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, but I really try to have as regular a practice as possible. I find when I don't do it, I just notice the difference. I feel much more in my head. I feel much more easily frantic about stuff. I just don't feel quite as connected to myself. I'm more reactive. So the more regularly I do it, the better I feel, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. That's like you say, hidden surprises happen in life all the time.
Yes.
And interestingly, as well, you said there that you'd be self-critical when you didn't do it. So it's like,
yeah.
If you missed out, then that inner voice again is saying, "Oh, you're rubbish. You didn't do your meditation today."
Exactly, and that's when the informal
amazing.
practice comes in. It's like, okay, it's not all about the formal thing. It's about how you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Daily, So how are we going to react to this? Let's try a bit of kindness and, a bit of compassion going, hey, it's daily life, in this world right now. It's not easy. Like, give yourself a break,
Yeah. It's very tough at the moment as well. And I have this conversation a lot with people. Like the world is quite a bleak place at the moment. There is so much negativity in the world. There's so much bad stuff happening close to home, away from home. We're not going to go into too much detail all that stuff right now, but it can be a depressing place to be at times, can't it?
Yeah.
So any sort of solace that you can take, anything to kind of make you feel better about yourself and the situation you're in is always a welcome thing.
Absolutely. For me, it's very much part of, if this is what I can do to manage myself, to manage my own mental health, my own emotions, then I can show up for myself in a kinder way, and I can especially show up for other people in a much more compassionate way as well, non-judgmental, and I can make my little piece of the world a better place. That's my main objective in life, really. And that's what I need to do to be able to do that. So those practices are for me, for my own well-being, but they're also my way of being able to then contribute in the world,
that's
at
a
my
beautiful
own
thing. Yeah.
level. Yeah.
Because that's the point. When you feel good about yourself, that filters out, that bleeds out to the people around you and your family circle, your friend circle, your work circle. And if that can start to filter through everybody, then like you say, your own little piece of the jigsaw's okay,
Yes, exactly. It's the whole thing of being part, you want to be part of the solution, not the problem. So
absolutely.
What are you doing to become more part of the solution, really? That's, for me, that's why I practice these things, mindfulness
Beautiful
being
sentiment.
one of the things. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
Have you turned your back completely on acting and performing, or is it just not happening at the moment? Would you come back to it in the future?
I might, if something really spoke to me, if it was a project that I really loved, if it was with people I really loved creating something with, I would. I think for me, the kind of turning my back on it was this sense that, I don't know, it wasn't so much about acting itself, it was more the industry that it is in, and the way it made me feel a lot of the time about myself and about, what I had to present to casting people and all of that just didn't align so much with my values anymore, really, that world. I found it really, really hard to navigate. So I don't, I miss the creativity of it. I wouldn't mind picking up a directing job at some point, or doing something like that, or writing. Yeah, the performance aspect, it would have to be something really special, really. It would have to be something I really want to spend time on.
I really hope something special comes along, because you were always a fantastic performer. I always thought that you approached everything that I've seen you do with such sensitivity and heart.
Thanks, Paul.
That's all right. And yes, I totally get what you're saying, though. I mean, the industry is brutal. You can't always just be yourself in this industry as well. As an actor, you're never really being yourself,
yes,
technically. But like you said, there's always that. It's almost like a performance for casting directors. Do you know
for
what I mean?
other people sometimes as well, other actors, always having to show that you're employed in something cool, and that you're... that energy was very, it just affected me probably a bit too much.
It does.
I was very highly sensitive to it. And it's just, sometimes it's a bit of a mismatch with your mental health.
Totally. And it's difficult, especially when you're going through a little patch when you're not working, and you look on Facebook, for example, or Instagram, and it just seems that all the other actors are having the time of their life doing a show.
Of course they are.
They're on set. And I know probably 90% of it is nonsense and just, whatever, but you're just, why am I the only actor who's not working? Which is, of course, not the case.
It's not the case. And we could have a whole other discussion on social media use and what that does to our mental health. And I'm not on social media anymore. And it's honestly one of the best moves I ever made for my mental health. So I would say working towards a mindful use of social media is probably a good thing for all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Adrienne, we only have a couple of minutes left, so
we do.
We'll leave it there. It's been wonderful to touch base with you again. It's been too long, and let's not leave it so long next time. And I hope that our listeners out there can take a bit of solace in the words that you've said today.
Yes, I hope so. If it sparked an interest, that's the main thing. And I do guide some meditations on Insight Timer if people want to have a little taster of like mindfulness of breathing, or Insight Timer is an app. It's a meditation app.
Excellent. We will put a link to that with this episode as well, so people will be able to find you there. And the wonderful stuff that you do. It's a pleasure. In the new year, we're going to meet up and have cake.
I love it. I am there.
Excellent.
Let's do it.
Adrienne, thank you so much for your time. Lots of love.
You're so welcome.
Well, there we go. That was a lovely chat with Adrienne Zitt. What do you think?
I found it very interesting. And I think for me, I struggle with being in the moment because I'm either ruminating about the past or thinking about the future or planning for the future. And that can mean that you don't live in the present, and life can kind of seem to flash by very quickly because you're not, so take, for example, I know one of the mindful things that I've read, and I think Adrienne touched on it, was like eating. I don't know how many times I've like eaten a sandwich and then you've thrown the wrapper in the bin and you have almost no recollection of eating that sandwich because you've just stuffed it in while I'm thinking about, oh, you might be sat at your desk at work and you've sent an email or you've searched for something online or you've done whatever, and you haven't tasted the sandwich, you haven't enjoyed the sandwich, you haven't like taken any thought about it. You've almost done, and that's not just eating the sandwich, whether it's driving the car, you'd like do all these things on autopilot. And I find it very difficult to actually stay in that present moment.
I think certainly with the eating thing, it's that it's because you're distracted by other things to an extent. It's like why you shouldn't eat while eat your dinner in front of the telly, because you're focusing on whatever you're watching and you're just shoveling food into your mouth, and rather than savoring it. And that can lead to overeating and stuff because you're eating so quickly, you're not even registering that you're getting full because you're not concentrating
shoveling
on
it
it.
in.
Yeah, and if it's like because you're stuffing a sandwich in your face at lunchtime at work because you're so busy, you're thinking about all this other stuff you've got to do. You're not actually taking a proper break. You're not decompressing from your work day. But that's partly why I kind of brought that up in the chat as well, because it's like I find that really difficult. It's really hard, and it takes practice, I guess, to just be present in the moment without thinking about the future or the past. It's really hard to just really be in the moment.
Do you know how I do it?
How do you do it?
How I can do it, and I'm actually being serious for a moment. So one thing I know I've talked about in the past is cold water therapy, and I know you're not keen, but I think when you plunge yourself in that cold water and you get that shock response, all you're concentrating on, and it is a lot of mind over matter, I believe, all you're concentrating on is the fact that it's blooming cold and you're breathing. You're not thinking about, oh, did I turn the oven off? Or because you're that, you cannot be in any other moment than, Jesus, this is cold, and you're coping with that one moment. So if mindfulness is kind of forced upon you, and unless it's forced upon me, I find it really difficult to do. So, but you'll find that out when we do it soon, hopefully.
That's right. Yes, that's something to look forward to, listeners. Now, you've done a couple of cold water therapy sessions already this year, haven't you? You've been in the water more than once.
I have, yeah. I've been taking cold showers, and I went hunting, waterfall hunting, but I don't think any of that can compare with seeing you. I imagine you in sort of canary yellow budgie smugglers when we're doing our cold water therapy.
Well, that says more about you than it does about me, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know. Let's see whether you turn up in canary yellow budgie smugglers.
Well, I don't own any. Maybe I could get some.
You say that. I'll have a word with Gail. I bet you didn't. Oh, no, I don't own any of those. Whatever.
That's all I have in my wardrobe.
So it's just drawer full of
hundreds of
they see those like films with serial killers where they've got like hundreds of the same suits hung up.
Yeah,
that's like but with like
yellow budgie smugglers.
Yes, yeah,
made out of real canaries.
We're going to go on to your fantasy now.
Yeah,
it's made of real moleskin. What I found interesting as well, that I hadn't kind of taken on board before, is she was talking about different strategies. So I didn't realize, I thought mindfulness was mindfulness, not, oh, well, if it's mindfulness for whatever, trauma, or whether it's mindfulness for anxiety or depression or whatever. Because again, when I was speaking to someone at Maggie's, they had someone come in and talk about mindfulness. And they're saying, well, actually, if you've been given a terminal cancer diagnosis, me telling you to live in the moment and appreciate every moment probably isn't really going to be particularly helpful. Obviously, Adrienne would know that, yes, okay, in that instance, and I'd be interested to know a bit more about, well, what are the different techniques, for different situations? Because I found that interesting that they're, like you say, I just thought mindfulness was, well, you're thinking about the present moment, whether that's for depression, anxiety, cancer, whatever.
And again, depending on kind of what you're personally going through, focusing completely on where you are in that moment might open up a can of worms for you, because in that moment, you might be, like you say, you might be dealing with a terminal illness diagnosis or something. So being in the moment, that's all you're going to think about.
I don't really want to
So,
think about that. No.
you know, and that's the thing. But I mean, it's going to and everybody's situation is going to be completely different.
Yeah.
So there's so much more to it than I ever initially thought. So it was interesting to hear about just all the different facets of mindfulness.
I have to pick up on a couple of things. One is you appear to have done it again with a rubbish cake, a strawberry bake. Do they not have decent cakes in the east of Scotland? You always have a rubbish cake.
Okay, so to caveat this is when I was down in Yorkshire, because we recorded this.
Oh, you're
before
blaming
the
Yorkshire
year.
for this, are you? Okay.
I'm blaming the shop that's next door to the digs I was in. So if you remember, when we actually recorded something when I was down there, I think I had a rubbish cake as well. Basically, it was one of the same rubbish cakes from the same packet.
Oh,
Two
I
episodes
see.
had
Right.
a rubbish cake, but
Okay,
they were
because
recorded at the
you
same
called
time.
them both together.
In fact, you know, I think it was Karina's, because I recorded Karina's sleep episode and Adrienne's mindfulness on the same day. I had the same crap cake both times.
Okay, well, when I
listen, we can't all get cakes posted to us.
Well, I'm just saying, on in the flip side, Dr. Jan baked me brownies, homemade brownies, and then nom 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 Northern Noms sent us, albeit me.
No, they sent us cakes and you ate them all.
Well, I thought by the time I got around to posting them to you, they would have probably gone off a bit stale. I was saving you from a stale. Nobody wants a stale cake. You might as well stick to your strawberry bake. So can you? It's called Mind Cake, right? So can you please try and get at least a better?
Yeah.
Admittedly, I bought you. Get Gail on it, because you don't do you kook, but you don't bake.
Kook.
You kook. You're coming on to my accents later, apparently. But we haven't got time for that in a minute, because I've now 0.4 from your.
God, you've been very thorough with it.
I've been very thorough. I've made notes. When you talked about Adrienne's, why are you looking so?
Come on, hit me with it. 0.4.
Acting. Adrienne's acting and how wonderful she was.
Yeah, she was a fan.
Really good, was she?
Yeah.
Really good.
Oh, she was amazing.
Right. Yeah. Amazing.
Mm.
Okay. Why did you not mention our superhero movie you didn't go, oh, I think the words were, if the right project comes along, she could maybe be tempted back into acting, which is your cue to say, well, actually, Adrienne, we're thinking of doing this superhero movie called, what was it called?
Sorry, it's good news.
Yes, sorry. I'm afraid it's good news. Oh, says Adrienne, what's that about? Well, it's about this.
Lee, well, let me address 0.4. As I think I mentioned in 0.3, this was recorded weeks ago in Yorkshire before we had that chat.
Oh, good point. So no doubt honestly, now you're going to get on to Adrienne and say, have you listened to the podcast where we are going to do a superhero film? And is that the sort of film project that would tempt you back? Yeah. What do you think she'd say? Based on the title alone?
Yeah, I mean, I think just based on the title, I think we'll hook her in with that.
I'm afraid it's good news.
Stop. Yeah, you had me at the title. I don't care what it's about.
Okay, so she's on board with the new film. Is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, she was a fab actress. She was in Outlander. She had a major role in Outlander for a while. Those of you who watch Outlander out there was a French character in it called Suzette, I believe, who was quite a major character at a certain point, and that was Adrienne. Yeah, she was fab.
Was she in Hello Hello? Does she know Arthur?
I don't think she knows Arthur Bostrom.
No.
No, I mean,
if she did, could she put in a word? Because I have emailed Arthur /
he's not got back.
Officer Crabtree. He's not got back to me at time of recording.
I mean, to be fair, we've been trying to get in touch with him over the festive period. You know, maybe he's not. You know, Arthur Bostrom will have come back to his laptop or whatever. You know, yesterday, perhaps today, to a plethora of requests and emails for meet and greets and can you say good morning on my answer machine or whatever. So he's
Would
been
you like-
working his way through it.
Yeah. Would you like to be in a superhero movie? That sort of thing.
As Officer Crabtree.
As Officer Crabtree. No, you're probably right. He's probably had a lot of eggnog over Christmas and he's just sleeping it off. He's not back to his laptop yet. Which, by the way,
Ostrom loves the nog.
he
What
loves
can
the
we say?
nog. Yeah. I've Googled it. And egg nog, depending on which recipe you go for, it does have egg yolk in it.
Hmm.
Well, I thought it was egg white, but it's egg yolk in a drink.
Well,
Vanilla.
I mean, it's yellow, isn't it? So yeah,
Is
that
it?
makes sense.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Is it? I don't know. I've
Well,
never had
Advocat's yellow, but did we ever get to the bottom of whether Advocate
Dick Advocate. He's not. Is he yellow? I thought he
Yeah.
was blue.
He'd be orange instead of blue, wouldn't he?
He'd be orange, would he? I don't know.
He managed Rangers and he was Dutch. So
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that would make sense. And he loved eggnog.
apparently so.
Mm. Well, he'd know then it's got condensed milk, cream, brandy / rum, one or the other, or both if you're feeling particularly fruity, and caster sugar. The only other variation I've seen on that is, of course, because what's his name's got to be different. Who's the chef that shouts a lot? Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, who Rangers link there? Because he played for Rangers, did he?
He did, I think. He played for Rangers in the youth.
He puts some of the egg white in as well.
Why?
Because he's Gordon Ramsay. He has to do something a little bit different, doesn't he? He's just a little bit woo, a little bit way, a little bit. That was the fast show for anyone under the age of 45.
Yeah. all of our references are dated. Oh dear. Okay.
So we've covered eggnog. We've covered Adrienne. We're going to put inside.
We didn't cover Adrienne and eggnog. Just to clarify.
Not cover. No, we didn't. We didn't do that. No, that would be silly.
That would be silly and wasteful.
Do you want to go for the quiz?
Yeah, the quiz.
Yeah.
So I obviously listened to the episode when it went out, as you know, number one fan.
Number one fan of our own work.
And I listened to the entire song of Church of, what was it, the Culture Club
Church
song?
of the Poison Mind.
Yeah. No, still like that podcast was like the first time I heard that song. I have no recollection of that song ever. So
hang on,
I think
hang on. Whoa. Before you say any more, I've got a note here somewhere. That Church of the Poison Mind is for a song that you've never heard of. Got to number 2 in the charts in 1983.
When I was 3 years old.
Whoa.
Okay.
It was only kept off the top spot by Let's Dance by David Bowie. Now, have you heard of that one?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right. Doesn't it?
I've heard of Dave. Yeah, I've heard
so
of Let's Dance.
It was only kept off the top spot by Let's Dance by David Bowie. Got to number 2 in 1983.
Who was number 7 in the chart then? Just out of interest. Who was number 7?
Hang on, it was Kajagoogoo with Too Shy Shy.
Okay, well, we've all heard that.
Don't tell me you haven't heard Too Shy Shy. Either way.
We have all heard that.
Oh, we have all heard that. So it's just the number 2 slot that you've not heard.
Well, go through the top 10 and we'll see.
I haven't got them all in
songs...
front of me, Paul.
Oh, well, okay then. Bet you there's a song in that top 10 that you can't place. I bet you.
Okay. Challenge accepted. By the way, I just made Too Shy Shy up. I don't know what was number 7. I can't remember every chart position of every. Right,
I thought you had it. I thought you had it in front of you at that.
No,
stage.
I did. I lulled you into false insecurity then by looking at my notepad.
Then the cake.
It sounds like
song,
a slight character assassination. The cake song, yeah. Reluctantly crouched at the starting line.
Yeah. So a couple of things. I think if I'd heard the chorus, I would have got it because the chorus is really distinctive. But I didn't get it from the verse. That's fair enough.
Yeah, but the problem with the chorus is that gives you the title of the song, Paul. She's going the distance. It's The Distance by Cake.
Okay. The impression of the song, because you gave me the lyrics and then you went, "Oh, I'll do it in the style of the song." Sounds nothing like the song.
It does sound exactly like it.
No, it doesn't. You sounded like some sort of robot. It was really weird.
Well, do you want to have a go?
No, I don't.
No.
I'm done with this quiz. I'm done with this game.
Well, did you get the other? You know the song, though, don't you? You do know the song.
The Distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What about the other one?
It's one of those songs that, like, I have heard and I'm totally aware of, but just hearing the lyrics, the first few lyrics in isolation. No idea. No idea. But then when you told me what it was,
you went, oh, yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah.
I don't know whether I said in the previous podcast it was made famous by Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, you did. You
And
did.
it got to number 3 in the UK charts in 1987. For those of you who don't know, it was Live It Up by Mental as Anything. That was the tenuous.
What a name for a musical outfit.
Different times.
Different times. Yeah.
I wonder if they're still going and if they're still called Mental as Anything.
Maybe we could get them. Maybe we could get them on, do an acoustic
Well,
version.
listen, I've on the back of Arthur Bostrom, I have contacted some celebrities to see whether I'm not going to say who they are at this stage. I'm not going to tell you off air. I'm just going to see if anyone bites, and if they do, I'm then going to surprise you and the listeners with a little message or whatever they decide. I don't know what they're going to decide to do. If anyone decides to do anything at all, they might just hit radio silence, a bit like Arthur Bostrom after a night out on the eggnog. But
you on his back.
I'm not suggesting that Arthur is a big drinker. We don't know. That was just for comic effect. He might be teetotal for all I know.
Yeah, I think it's only fair that he comes on this podcast and defends himself.
Yes, his right to reply. I categorically do not get pissed on eggnog. You'll be hearing from my lawyers.
Yeah.
Well, until you come on, Arthur, there you go. I'm going to tell everybody that you love the eggnog. You love it. Shall we talk about the 10,000 steps?
Oh, yeah.
How are you getting on with that?
I'm doing really well with it, actually. The 1st of January, I went out for a run and I ran 5K and then I walked the rest of the way to make it up to 10,000.
Hang on. So you just went out and did a 5K, a non-stop 5K on the 1st of January?
Yes.
Oh, well done. Well done, Paul. That's amazing.
Yeah. And then went out the 2nd of January and tried to do the same thing again. And I did 4K and I was like, oh no, I'm done. So then I walked the rest of the way.
Okay.
And I haven't been for a run since, but I've been walking.
Okay.
Because I thought,
good. That's cheered me up a bit.
I can't sustain the running every day. I've been trying to do it in sort of manageable things. So I've just started walking, and do you know what? I've been really getting into the walking, really enjoying it. Stick a podcast in, or some music in, and just take myself off for an hour, hour and a half, however long. Now, there was a couple of days, so I've been down to London for an audition recently, so that was like 2 days spent mostly on a train.
Which we can't talk about, folks.
No, we can't. So I didn't make my 10,000 steps those days. I think one day I got 9 and then the next day I got 5 or something like that. So then the following day I went out and did a stupid amount to sort of make up for the lost ones.
Quite right.
I did, sort of coming back to what Adrienne was talking about and being sort of that self-critical kind of voice. I had that when I was on the train. I'm not going to get my steps done today. Sort of beating myself up about it. And then I did bear in mind what Adrienne was saying about that. And I went, well, just you can only do your best. And then, so I'm not going to beat myself up. If I don't get to 10,000 steps, whatever reason, one day, as long as I make it up somewhere else down the line, my average every day is 10,000, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to be down on myself because, I did 9,000 instead of 10. I mean, that's just silly. 9,000 steps is better than no steps. Do you know what I mean? So having said all that, I'm kind of meeting my quota and a bit more. So I'm doing quite well.
But are you feeling the benefit? Are you feeling a benefit of it? You're quite enjoying it?
Yes, I am. I'm enjoying it, and I've noticed, like, 'cause I use like an app to track my steps and like my route.
Your massive steps.
And I noticed today when I went out for my walk that I'm walking like 1 kilometer faster than I was 9 days ago, or whatever it was. 7 days ago when I started just walking instead of running. So my average pace has got a little bit faster.
Okay.
I wouldn't say like I'm suddenly feeling super fit or anything, but I do feel the benefit of it. I'm sleeping a little bit better because I'm a bit more tired, So
well, I think the thing is just like you say, just going outside and actually being in the fresh air and getting some exercise, whether that's running, whether that's walking or whatever, has got to be beneficial.
Yeah. How about you? How have you been getting on?
Oh, I was hoping we were going to move on to something else. Do you want to talk about ice baths?
Sure.
No, I've only hit my target, I think, one day.
Oh, okay. Is that when
I've
you went out to the waterfall?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
You had that big trek. But to be fair, you trekked out to a waterfall and then went skinny dipping in it. Well,
I
not
didn't
maybe
go
not.
skinny. That's again, that's one of your fantasies, Paul. I was not naked in the waterfall. I I didn't get lost because I followed the river. But what I didn't appreciate was it was like I felt like Indiana Jones trekking through the undergrowth to get to this waterfall. So it took me, it must have been the best part of an hour
Mhm.
trudging. And because I knew it was going to be muddy, I'd worn my deck shoes.
Okay.
Well, because if you're going in the dip where it's stony, rather than going barefoot,
Oh, I see what you mean, like to wear in the water.
yeah. But what I did was,
Uh-huh.
because I assumed it was going to be on a path, I wore
Ah, I
them.
see.
All I was going to do is wear them to the waterfall. Whereas
And
actually,
back.
I'm like wading through swampland
And they
and
were all
trekking.
minging.
Oh, no, that wasn't that. That wasn't the fact. I think it was the fact. And so when I got back to the hotel and I'd done some cold water therapy and duked myself in the cold water, I suddenly had really painful Achilles. And
Oh,
I thought it
right.
was to do with the cold water, but I think actually it was the trekking. 'Cause I think it was about 2 kilometers there and 2 kilometers back. It was
On the
trekking
uneven
on
ground as
uneven
well.
ground in flat shoes with no support. When I
Well,
got there, I spent about 3 minutes actually in the water. But yes, I got 10,000 steps that day. But other than that, I have to say it's been appalling. I've been doing, and I have been beating myself up about the fact that, we're doing this podcast and we're going, yeah, we're going to do 10,000 steps a day. And I've probably averaged, I mean, I'm not even close, probably three or four. Now, today's been a bit better. So today so far, I'm on 7,600. But that's
oh, there
because
you
I've been
go.
to work. So I've had to walk to the train station, walk from the train station to work, and then out for lunch and round about. But if I'm working from home, so I'm working from home tomorrow, unless I
Hmm.
force myself to go for a run, then
Well, force yourself to go for a walk rather than a run. Or
I could do.
is it time as a factor? Like, because you're working
No, I
like
no, no, it's not that. It's just my own. I don't know what you call it. Just my own. Well, no,
motivation.
yeah, no, I need to go for a run. But I think that's the thing. I think as I started the podcast, I think just my motivation, which is weird because I don't think I mentioned this to you, but I saw, you get these Facebook memories,
Hmm.
and one popped up of me doing the Maggie's 50, starting the
Oh, yeah.
Maggie's 50
Hmm.
3 years ago. And I'm there with a big smile on my face going, I am going to smash this. I'm doing the Maggie's 50. I'm out running. I was actually running and pushing the pram because
Well,
Erin wasn't even one at that point. She'd been coming up one. Happy birthday, Erin. She won't be listening. She's 3. She's
no,
4.
not
She's
one.
4. She's 4 next week. So anyway, yeah. So I'm running and pushing the pram, going, I'm doing this for Maggie's. They've been so supportive and blah blah blah. And I look back at that now and go, that was madness. I'd only the month before I'd had 2 operations, and the month before I'd had radioactive iodine treatment, which just knocks you out, your
Hmm.
your immune system and what have you. And I'm there running, pushing the pram. Whereas
Yeah.
now, having touch wood come out the other side, I'm like, oh, just the motivation's just gone.
I found that as well, though, when I was doing the Maggie's thingy with you, the fact that people had sponsored me and quite a lot of money riding on me
Yeah, yeah.
completing this challenge, that was motivation enough to get me out the door. And I was teaching at the time as well. So I was coming home from work
Mm.
and going out running in
Going in
the
the
dark and
dark.
the
Yeah.
cold. But I was like, I've got, can't remember how much I raised. It was over 700 quid, I think it was. And
Mm.
I was aiming for like 250. I was like, like there's people depending on me doing this. And then I thought, all right, I'm going to run this. I'm going to do the same thing in February. I'm going to run 50 miles in February just for myself.
Mm.
Didn't do
Didn't
it
do
at
it.
all.
No.
Because the motivation when I had other people depending on me, I was much more motivated.
Uh-huh.
When I was just doing it for myself, I excused myself from doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I'm not 700 quid is an amazing amount of money, and I'm not saying this for for any other reason other than I think I had about 5 grand because obviously I was the person going through it. And I was really struggling some days. And I remember Gemma was saying to me, "You've had 2 operations." And I go, no, I've got to do it because I'm raising all this money for Maggie's and I can't just turn around to people and go, "Wow, do you know what? I couldn't be bothered. Thanks for all your money, but I couldn't be bothered." And she goes, "Lee," and looking back now, she's absolutely right. But at the time, I'm like, absolutely not. Lee, you've had 2 operations and radioactive iodine treatment. You've just been diagnosed with terminal cancer. I think people would understand if you turned around and said, "Look, I'm ever so sorry. Thank you for your donations, but I really can't do this. I cannot run 50 miles in January." And I'm like, absolutely not. That's not happening. Of course I'm going to do that. I have to
nobody would have asked for their money back either. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not that kind of deal where it's like, "Oh, you haven't done right. Send me my tenner back."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But I found this a lot, and whether it's triathlons. No, again, you wouldn't look at me and think, "Oh yeah," but that's the only reason I was never any good at them. But I only ever signed up for stuff like 10K or a triathlon because it was only the fear of looking like an absolute dumpling at the start line in 6 months' time, whatever. That would force me to go for a swim or go for a bike ride or go for a run. If I don't enter these madcap things, then like the 10,000 steps has proved, I just haven't done it.
Yeah. Well,
So
do you know,
apologies, listeners.
this is the thing. You don't have to apologize because you're human and you're fallible. But I also think it's good to be honest about it. You could have just come on this podcast going, "Yeah, I'm smashing it. I'm doing 10,000 a day, no problem." Nobody would have thought anything else. But at least you're being honest about it and you're owning it.
I have done the cold water though. I think I've
Yeah,
done
well,
that
yeah, I mean,
every day with it, which is, again, I think what I'm going to do, or what I have done, is write a well-being menu.
Okay.
So things on the well-being menu are things like drinking 2 liters of water, meditation, exercise, whether that be a run or a walk or whatever, a cold shower, 10,000 steps, sleep. And I can't think, there's a couple of other items that I'm going to add on there. So what I thought I'd do is, rather than going, "Oh, Jesus, I've got to do 10,000 steps today," as long as I hit 2 of those criteria, so whether that's today so no alcohol will be another one. So if I haven't had any alcohol and I've drunk 2 liters of water, bing. Or if I've had my hour's sleep and had a cold shower, bing. You just have to, well, today I don't fancy doing 10,000 steps, but I do I'll go for a cold shower.
I'll do the other 4,
yeah,
or whatever.
Oh, so however many, I don't know how many I'm going to set myself, whether that's 2 or maybe start with 2 and see if I can build it up to 3. But I think as long as you go, "Well, I don't fancy doing that today, but I do fancy," like some days I just don't drink. I don't fancy drinking like 2 liters of water. But this is the thing. When I signed up for the Joe Wicks thing, it gives you like a personalized plan on your height and weight and blah, 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 and exercises and what have you. And his water intake for me, it was over 4 liters. I'm like, that can't be right, because I think you're supposed to drink like 2 liters of water a day. No. I double checked with it. It was like 4.25 liters of water. So I was like peeing like a racehorse.
I tried to do that. Did this mad thing where like drinking loads of water, like a stupid amount. I can't remember what it was. Like 9 liters of water a day, right? For the first day, and then the second day you cut it down to 4.5, and then you cut it down to 2.5. Whatever, like you cut it down in half each day. But because you've drunk so much on the first day, your body is just gone into that sort of detox mode.
Yeah.
And then you stop taking as much water in, but your body is still detoxing by the end of the whatever it is. You've lost lots of water weight. But I couldn't even get through the first day because I was like, I'm making myself sick drinking water. Bloody stupid. What am I doing? Why am I doing this to myself? Do you know what I mean? I didn't feel good. I felt rotten because I felt like so full of water and I was pissing every like 5 minutes. That's no way to live, man. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Awful. So
I think I'm going to try and do the menu thing.
But I think
and
that's
then just
good.
pick and choose whatever towards, as Jan would say, whatever towards move I feel like doing today or have time to do. Because sometimes I haven't got time to do.
Exactly, because actually life gets in the way sometimes. And again, you shouldn't beat yourself up because you've had a busy day at work and you've come home to the kids and you want to spend time with Gemma.
and you're not sacrificing any of that stuff just to squeeze some steps. And I think that's fair enough. You've got your
Today we were
priorities
playing
sorted.
zoos.
Well, do you know what?
As soon as I
I'd
stepped in the
much rather
door,
be playing zoos with the kids than
oh no, I wasn't playing zoos with the kids, just
walking.
with Gemma.
All right,
The
okay.
kids were doing the crossword.
Reading Dostoevsky.
Yeah. Me and Gemma just played zoos for a bit. Getting back onto mental health.
Oh yeah, that's why we're here.
That's why we're here. So yeah, so I was away for a couple of days at this hotel in the new year, and they had a plunge pool. So I got into my cold water therapy to the extent where my wife said to me, well, I know someone who's got one of these, pods. You should maybe look into, with a New Year sales or whatever, getting one of these pods. So I'm like, right, send me the link and I'll have a look at it. But
Like so you could do a plunge sort of ice bath at home kind of thing.
yeah, it's like a glorified
Wheelie bin.
Yeah, pretty much. I was going to say water butt, but wheelie bin's just as good. So you go on the website and they've got 20% off, exclusive offers at the moment, 20% off, and you got a free mat and a free ice tray, 2 ice trays, right?
Okay.
So I thought, that's all right. I'll have some of that. And you could either buy I think one was, I don't know, 95 quid. And the other one was £105, but that came with like a super duper airtight lid on. I think, well, if there's leaves and flies and bugs and whatever, probably want the one with the lid. So I went for the 105, thinking, right, 20% off, 85 quid, and I'll get the mat but there's a big thing at the bottom that says discounts, all discounts applied at checkout. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I've clicked on the thing of what I want, and it's automatically added the ice tray and the mat and some other £5 insurance thing into my checkout basket. I've gone, right, okay, in my head I've gone, it must have done that because I'm getting that free, and when I click thing, it's going to discount it at checkout, and I'll end up paying the 84, 85 quid, and I get all the things. So I pressed the button, and not only did I not get the 20% discount, I was also charged full price for the ice. And then, like, the ice tray is like 15 quid. I won't name the company. It was 15 quid for an ice tray. And the mat, which has now arrived, is like almost like a bit of a flannel, was like £16, right? So I've been charged £144
outrageous
for this. So I've gone back to them and went, excuse me, this was supposed to be the offer, and I haven't got the 20% discount or a free mat or free. I'm not that bothered about the ice. I was just getting them because they're free. I don't really want. I've got ice trays and I've got mats. I don't really need them. So can you don't send that order, right? I don't want to pay £144. I want to pay £85 just for the pod, and the things are supposed to be free. And they've gone, no. It's one or the other. You can't have both. And I'm like, no, your website, I took a screenshot. Your website doesn't say it's one or the other. It says, so that what they've proposed is that they give me 20% discount off the whole lot. So they give me 20% off the 144. And I'm like, but I don't want the mat. I don't want 20% off your extortionately priced ice trays and mat. I just
you're still going to pay 40 quid more than you were going to pay in the first place anyway.
Yeah, I don't want the mat and the thing. Oh, well, no, you're getting confused. So I said, right, well, don't send it to me. And if you send it to me, I will just send it back.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, what's the point in sending it back? Because you're getting them for free anyway. I'm like, I'm not getting them for free. You're giving me 20% off the whole lot, some of the items of which I don't want. So I tell you what, don't send me that. So I thought, this isn't right. I'll go online and see if I can just buy a pod with the 20% off. And lo and behold, I go in and I order the pod, and it automatically adds in the fucking thing again. So I've deleted the thing. No, I don't want the ice tray, and then because you're not actually going to give me them for free, are you? And then I've gone through another couple of steps. It's added back in the ice tray, and then I'm like, no, delete. I do not want those items, and it comes in the discount code 85 quid. So bing. So I've ordered it. So I've ordered another one now. So I've gone back to them and gone, you haven't because it's like 5 to 7 days dispatch. This is literally the day after. Do not send that first order, right? Because I know you haven't dispatched it. Oh, sorry, sir, it's too late. It's been packed. And I'm like, yeah, but it hasn't been sent. It hasn't been dispatched. So do not send that first order because I will not be paying for it. And if you send it, I will not be liable for your postage to me, which is free postage anyway, or my postage. If you deliver it from me back to you, I will just not accept the delivery. Oh no, it's too late. We've offered you 20% off. I don't know what your beef is. So I'm like, Gemma, when this package turns up, just refuse it. Oh yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, no, we'll do that. So literally the next day, I'd gone upstairs and I think I was in the toilet. And came back down the stairs and Gemma says, oh, this package has arrived for you. And I went, right. It's not the ice bath, is it? Oh, it could be. Yeah, I was supposed to refuse that, wasn't I? I was like, yeah. Yeah, so we've now got the ice bath. Except it's not the ice bath. Do you know what it was?
Wasn't just the mat.
No. So I opened the box, and it's the ice bath with the mat, which is crap. And it's literally 2 plastic ice trays for 15 quid. I'm like, well, what's this other box then? There's another box.
It's the other ice bath.
No. I thought, well, they've sent the 2 together now.
No.
I've opened the other one. This looks different from that. They've sent me a sauna, an indoor sauna. So I've gone on the website and gone, how much are the saunas? They're like 350 quid. But they've got a deal on. If you order a sauna, they give you an ice bath free.
Oh, for goodness sake.
So I think they've sent me somebody else's order because I've now got an email to go, your order has been dispatched, which was the first ice bath that I don't want, has only just been dispatched. So I think in the next day or so, I'm going to get the first ice bath, which will come with a mat and the ice trays that I don't want, on top of the ice bath and sauna I now have. And if I'm really unlucky, or lucky, depending on which way you do, I think I'll get a third one. So I'm going to end up opening my own franchise because I'm going to end up with 3 ice baths and a sauna. But this is the irony of this is that I've gone away to this retreat, found that the ice baths were really beneficial for my mental health. I've gone, okay, I think I'm going to find that useful. I've gone through this whole debacle, a bit like you and your cooker, gone through this whole debacle of this isn't helping my mental health because you're stressing me out. When no, it's either one. It's not one or the other. It's 20% off and the free mat. I'm not that bothered about the ice tray and the mat.
Oh, mate. This beats cooker gate hands down.
Oh,
ice bath gate.
It's stressing me out. But I haven't got, the trouble is I can't even start using it because Gemma's like, leave it in the packaging to see what turns up next. Because maybe that is your ice bath. And they just happen to have sent a sauna as well.
Do you know, in the future, if you have 3 ice baths and a sauna, we can start doing our podcasts round at your house, right? With our guest. And then at some point in every episode, we'll all have an ice bath together, but we'll have our own little pods.
Or we could do it on Zoom. You could have your own ice pod bath.
Yeah, but then you'd have to send it to me, and that's going to be a palaver.
No, we could meet in the middle. We could meet in Stirling.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll have a couple of beers, and then I'll take the ice bath.
Oh, I don't think you should do that.
Right.
What? Drinking alcohol and then going for an ice bath?
No. Like we'll have a couple of pints, and then I'll take the ice bath home with me.
Oh, I see. Right, you're not going to plunge into icy cold water
No,
after having sunk about 6 pints.
That would be irresponsible.
That would be.
But
do you want a sauna?
You need to keep us posted.
Do you want a sauna?
I don't really want a sauna, no.
No, I don't really want a sauna. Do you know what it is as well? And again, I think I can say this because I'm not going to name the company, but it's like, because it's like plastic poles, right? This is like almost like a change tent, right?
Yeah.
And have you ever had like a wallpaper stripper? You know, the little that you have to fill the thing with water.
Oh yeah.
And then so it's almost like one of those. It's like a plug-in thing, and you must put that. I haven't obviously opened it up and put it together. I haven't erected said gazebo, and you put like the wallpaper stripper unit underneath that creates the steam, and then you just stand in there and sweat like a pig, and then presumably come out and dunk in the one of your 3 ice baths, whichever one you choose to dunk in.
I mean, that just sounds like you could do that with a wallpaper stripper and a duvet.
And a big quilt, yeah.
You could just like sit sit on the floor with the wallpaper stripper under your
Yeah.
quilt.
My mum used to do that when she's had like a bad cold. She had like this facial thing, and you used to have to sit, like put hot water in it with like menthol stuff, and then you
Yeah,
have to like put your face in it and then have a towel on your head.
yeah.
It wasn't 350 quid, I don't think.
What a piece of nonsense. Well, you're gonna have to keep us updated,
I
like,
will.
because the next time we do a podcast, maybe it's all, you know, well, you can start
I
your
won't be able to. I
franchise.
won't be able to move for ice baths.
Yeah.
I think they've sent me somebody else's wrong order.
So you could return the sauna and the
Yeah.
ice bath that you've received and get 350 smackers back.
Well, no, they're not going to do that, are they? Because I haven't paid 350 smackers.
Well, you didn't order a bloody sauna, but you've got one. Do you know what I mean? It sounds to me like these guys don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Mm.
I think you could end up with 2 ice baths and 350 quid. This could be a bloody brilliant start to 2024.
So, if anybody wants a sauna or
Leisure, man.
um,
Well, installment number 2 is going to be a doozy.
that it does kind of link to mental health, because it's, you know, I've tried to do the right thing for my mental health by getting an
And
ice
it's
bath, and it's just backfired
spectacularly
horribly.
back.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm a bit pissed off. Just like, right, something else I've got to deal with now. Why is it still? I just want an ice bath.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Oh, dear.
Right.
That's
Linktree.
Yeah, so yeah, speaking of links, we should put a link to the app that Adrienne mentioned on our link tree,
Yes.
which is Insight Timer. Is that what it was called?
Insight Timer, yes.
Yeah.
Which I do actually
So,
use.
Yes. And since
on
you
occasion.
use it and Adrienne has mentioned it, I think we'll put that on the link tree. So
Yes.
if any of our listeners out there want to give it a little try,
Yep.
they know where to find it. Which leads us on to, well, just before we get to the housekeeping, last episode, you know, talking about my little housekeeping jingle with the drill, stroke Hoover, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was really chuffed with that. And then last week you made a joke about, oh, I'm not gonna, what if I just leave a little gap there and then you put some
tumbleweed
sound effect instead of my housekeeping jingle.
Birds tweeting.
Yeah. So
I know, but I did that on, you know why I did that, don't you? Because I knew it would irritate you when you listen, because you obviously wouldn't know. You're shrugging, but you've mentioned it, so it clearly did. No, but you listen to that, that little git, he's just left the silence in there.
Yeah. But I'm still going to do my housekeeping, right? Now, so I'm not going to have any expectations about jingles from now on. I'm still going to just do my job. I'm going to be a professional like I always am. And whatever sound effect you put in,
don't tempt
be
me.
it, you know, a comedy sound effect or the Benny Hill theme tune, or whatever, right? Whatever. I'm gonna every week. I'm still gonna do my housekeeping, and then you can decide. You know, it's over to you, Lee. You can decide what you put in.
There is another thing you could do. If you edited the episodes, the bookends, then you could do what you like.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have offered, and you go, no, it's cool.
That's all right, because I've got some funny things to do.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm gonna.
Did you not? You haven't commented on my ho 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 at the beginning and the sleigh bells. So they didn't get mentioned.
The sleigh bells on the on our Mind Cake jingle. You put some sleigh bells on that. But how did you do that?
Just got a sound effect. Okay. Talking of which, I probably need to redo, and I'm going to have to look it, because I looked into copyrights, and you can't do what we're doing. Sorry, what I'm doing. So there's not even like a 30-second. I thought it was like a 30-second rule where you could, as long as you didn't play more than 30 seconds of a song.
Yeah, like fair use or whatever.
Yeah. You can't even do that. Like any part of a song. So there'll be an AI bot somewhere that's going to, when it's trawled through, like, because I had that on YouTube once. I'd use part of a song, and obviously the AI bots are trawled through and go, this sounds exactly like whatever it was. And then they told me to take it down, remove it, and do whatever. So I'm probably going to have to re-edit. Is it 2 episodes? So we've got
well, you put the whole track of Church of the Poison Mind in the last episode. It wasn't even just a snippet; it was the full track.
But didn't I do that? Then what was the one before I did the whole song as well?
Emanate. That wasn't the, was it?
Yeah, that Emanate.
Oh.
Yeah. 99p up the Swanee. So, folks, if you want to listen to Emanate, I can't remember what episode, get in quick because I think I'm probably going to have to flush that 99p down the toilet and remove it
I mean,
before.
I'd be
we get
shocked
this-
if M&A had an AI bot that were on the,
Well, I
on
don't
the
think it's
lookout
made.
for.
I don't think that's how it works, Paul. That every artist has their own AI bot.
Or whoever's used to look after M&A. I don't think they're high on the priority list. It's not like they're the fucking Beatles or
Do
something.
you not
Do
think
know
it's
what I mean?
Spotify that would have a bot that would just trawl everything rather than
Well, I would have thought it would be whoever
M&A
owns. No, I thought
M&A
it would
having
be.
an AI bot, Enya having an AI bot, AC/DC having an AI bot? And are they all the same bots, or is Enya's AI bot different from Justin Timberlake's bot or Kajagoogoo's bot?
Why do you have to be the way that you are?
I don't know. It's my mental health, mate.
Oh God, aye. Here we
Mm.
go. Here we go. Right, do you know what? I'm getting tired now.
Just do your
So,
housekeeping for God's
all right,
sake.
okay, I will. Right. So here's the housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
Ding ding.
Insert hilarious sound effect here. So you can get in touch with us because we do like it when people get in touch, don't we, Lee?
We do.
So you can get in touch with us on Twitter and Instagram at Mindcake Podcast. And you can find us on Facebook if you just search for Mindcake. And you can email us at sliceofmindcake@gmail.com. On all of these places, you can find a link to our link tree that has all interesting and helpful links to stuff related to mental health and also links to all our previous episodes. Boom.
No, because you've forgotten to do something.
What have I forgotten?
You were going to give St. Alban.
Oh no, I haven't forgotten. That's the last thing on my list
Oh,
here.
sorry. I thought you were. That's it.
No. I was just the boom was to signify the end of the housekeeping, not the
Oh,
end of the episode.
I've just had a message.
Oh, okay. For those of you that have been listening, you'll be familiar with our jingle now, which was kindly written and performed for us by Peter McVeigh, who is one half of the band St. Alban. So Peter McVeigh and Andy Dunlop, who you might know as a member of Travis, work together under the moniker St. Alban, and they have a new single out at the moment, which is called, Lee?
What type of man?
Thanks, Lee. So at the time of recording, or well, certainly the last time I looked, it was only available on Facebook. I don't know if it's had a sort of wider release since then. So certainly if you search for St. Alban on Facebook, you can get a swatch at the new single there, and it's definitely worth a listen, as is the rest of their back catalogue, definitely worth checking out. So there we go. Now, Lee, you said you had a text message.
Yeah, I did. But what I was also going to say was we could also put a link on Peter's SoundCloud, maybe on the link tree.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's
either to the Facebook page with the new song or to the SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Yes, I have had a message. Just news just in. News flash. Got my own jingle. There, I said I'd reached out to certain celebrities.
Yes.
Well, I heard a message. Hi, Lee. Yes, I'd be happy to have a listen and give it a shout out. Do you want a video shout out or just verbal?
Ooh.
But I'm not giving you any more information than that. So stay tuned to see.
Was that a personal text that you just received from said celebrity?
It's not going to give
Or was
anything.
that a Twitter? Is a Twitter DM?
It was a. How did you know that?
Well, how else are you going to? You don't have celebrities' mobile numbers, do you? So it's going to be Twitter.
It could have been an email. I just happened to be reading on my phone.
It could have been an email, mate.
Well, for someone who says, "Oh, we can't get hold of anyone on Twitter, mate," because you try and get hold of the customer services, and then they say DM me, and then they can't DM them because.
Well, what's that? That electrical company isn't a celebrity.
No, but hang on. So if I go into So if I go into let's have a search for name a celebrity. Adele.
Okay.
Adele. Bing. Right. There's nothing on here that says, oh, hang on a minute. I've just had another message from my cousin. Literally, as it just popped up. I've binged listened to Mindcake. I'm halfway through episode 5. It's so funny and I'm proper enjoying it. Thumbs up. Good work, Crompers. She doesn't mention you.
Nice.
She doesn't mention you.
Well,
She's
nobody. People rarely do.
she's
I'm just
typing.
like
She's typing.
I'm the Ernie Wise of this
Are you?
double act, aren't I? I'm just the straight man who gets no recognition for jack shit. That's me. I'm happy with that though. I'm
Well, hang on.
comfortable.
She's typing. She's typing. So maybe this is the bit where she's going to mention you.
Yeah.
Also, I think Paul Beeson is a bit of a. Oh, no, she doesn't. She's still typing. It's got the 3 dot. You know the 3 wiggly dots.
And that, listeners, is comedy.
That's why I
Oh,
write it,
yeah.
because I'm just. It
Yeah.
just.
Because you live it.
It just flows off the
clown.
tongue. Oh no, she stopped typing.
Yeah.
She's whatever she was going to say about you. She's. Oh no, she's typing again. Well, this isn't good.
This is not good
No.
podcast material.
So yeah, it was all I was going to say was Adele. That's what I was doing. Adele. I've got replies, media. There's no way that I could just. Adele's only following one person.
Yeah. A lot of some big
Adele
celebrities
Access
follow.
official page of all things Adele.
Hmm.
Well, how's that different from her actual? I don't know how that works. Anyway, all I'm trying to say is, I can't. If I decided, oh, do you know what? I'm going to ask Adele if she'll come on to the podcast. You can't do that.
Well, you could put a tweet and tag her page in it. You know,
No, I have not.
got the option.
It was a DM
Okay.
from said person.
I can't wait to see who it is.
Okay. We'll leave it there. Thank you for listening, because that has been an ordeal for us, let alone you.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be shorter in the edit. Maybe one of my fans will get in touch.
If anyone likes Paul, please do get in touch.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening,
and
cousin
and if
Carrie.
you don't bother getting in touch.
No, do
please.
actually. If you don't like Paul,
No. I don't want to get abuse from all the Lee Crompton fanboys and girls out there, right? You know, I've got to take care of my mental health too.
he's got feelings
This isn't
too.
not the
Folks.
Lee Crompton show. Jeez, right. Anyway, thanks for listening.
If you love Paul, give him some love. Okay.
Anyway,
thanks Paul.
everyone.
That's cheered me right up this episode.
Yeah, I bet it has. Well, funnily enough, I feel like shit now. All right, bye everyone.
Right. Enjoy. Thanks for listening.
Let's start a podcast about our mental health for no